Welcome to the Craft Cocktail. Today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we make clear ice in a very short little video so you can create the clear ice that you see in the Easy Vodka series, the Screwdrivers and the Cape Codders and those specific type of cocktails, along with what you're going to see throughout the entire series where we're making sexy cocktails that are made using clear ice. This is the technique we use to make clear ice. What you're going to need is this Coleman flip lid cooler. The link is below, right to Amazon. It's an affiliate link. If you don't like it, you can go to Amazon directly, but if you click on that, you can give us some credit for it. You pull the top off, which usually means leaning it to the side, popping it off, comes right off. You're going to need something to drain the excess water in. A sink would be good. In this case, as we're doing it on the bar, I'm going to use this casserole dish just to catch the water. You're going to need some sort of cool serrated knife to be able to cut your ice. Get a cheap bread knife or something to be able to score the ice and hit it. Hitting it with any type of hammer. I have this wooden hammer I use for crushing ice. A secondary knife to poke holes to drain some of the water. And a bag, a Ziploc bag or gallon freezer bag to be able to put your new clear ice into. Block form. So the first step is you're going to fill the cooler with water. I bring it almost to the white line, to the top, because it's going to expand a little bit. Then you put it in your freezer. What you don't want to do is allow it to freeze all the way through. You really want it to freeze probably down to about here. So the water is going to top freeze. It's going to freeze from the top down. You want the bottom, even though there will be some freezing at the very bottom, you want it to have a nice little pocket of water in between. Let's see what that looks like. So when you take the ice out, you can see that there's a little pocket of water inside here where it hasn't yet frozen. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift it up. I suggest washing your hands before this exercise. And we're going to drop some holes in here to get the water to drain. The first one I'm going to do is actually in the top. That gives us some air. And then I'll just poke a couple down here. We want to get the water to drain out primarily so that we can cut this easier. Right now it's a little bit of a pain. Let's let that drain. Once you've drained out most of the water, you can start cutting it without having a huge watery mess. So let's put a better cutting board on here so that we can kind of trim this up and get the water out of the way. Now, if you're in a sink, you can put this on the edge of the sink on a cutting board, which is what I typically do, and throw the excess ice into the sink. Here, for illustration purposes, I'm going to do it on the cutting board and just dump all the excess into our casserole dish. What you want to do is score a line right to where the air bubble tends to be, so that you clip all the way through and not get any of the air bubble in your ice. So the good ice is here, the bad ice is here. This ice is not very stable, so it's going to shed pretty easy. The thick, solid ice is much stronger, so it's not going to chip away as easy. So in the first break, you got some pretty good chunks. Flip it over. Now what you end up with is a rough but pretty clear piece of ice. Now if you want to be a perfectionist, you could trim off all these edges. But the goal here is to really just get a nice square block of ice. And you're going to get them in a small block. So you don't have to be perfect. And a lot of this edge work where you think you can, it's not as clear as it really is. As this starts to melt a little bit and you get melt water, it becomes much more clear. Now let's score some across this way. And you're going to basically cut it like a cake. They don't always break off perfectly, especially if you hit it lighter. Trim down what you don't want, depending on how perfect you want your squares to be. I'm also a big fan of a little bit of a thinner subsection. That way you can fit them in Collins glasses a little bit better. Or you can slice it up as you need them into smaller pieces. Typically I get about 12 fairly large ice chunks per freeze. So sometimes they're going to be larger than you'd ever fit in a glass. However, I like to leave them stored that way. It's just easier. Then I can cut these up into smaller cubes as I need them. This is what you'll see us use on the show. This is the same process I go through every single time. Do yourself a favor. Put them in a gallon freezer bag. This protects them from some of the weird smells you'll get in your freezer, especially that stale ice smell. And the ice will get smaller and drier if you leave it out. You want it to stay contained inside of a Ziploc bag or a freezer gallon bag so that you have it for an extended period of time. That's how I suggest you make yourself some clear ice. Please check out our ebook where we utilize this clear ice in all the product photos for our easy cocktail book. Right down there. Subscribe to the show. And of course, check out the video to the left. It's the next one in this series that you're going to want to watch. Go make some ice.